Are you sharing your screen? I think. Hello? Are you sharing your screen now? I think you might be speaking on mute.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay, this is something else. This is not the, this is just setting this is setting the policy on your computer to for a PowerShell to unrestricted.
Oh, you say it again.
I'm saying your PowerShell screen. Maybe you are showing me a different screen.
Oh, my bad, PowerShell.
So it's your PowerShell terminal that I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Close this one. Can you see my?
No, you stop sharing. So share your screen again. Okay, it's sharing now. Okay, now I can see your Zoom screen.
Can you see my?
Okay.
Sorry, CD.
All right. So this wasn't the what we did last week. Remember last week I said that you should just use your EC2 instance to migrate your data instead of using Flyway from your computer.
Yeah. What we used the EC2 instance that day. So I got stuck somewhere else in the process. So, and I cannot wait for that long for a week to get back to that stage. So this morning I was trying to do everything as fresh. So this is where I got to that I got stuck again.
Yeah, okay. So with this one, using the EC2 instance to migrate your data is much straightforward than using this one, because with this one you have to follow all the steps that I have in the course, which is making sure you have your all your security groups set up properly. You set up the SSH tunnel and all that stuff. So do you remember what you were having issues with when you were using the EC2 instance?
Yeah, I got to a point where I was trying to, I think it was ECR something where you configure. I was trying to hold on 1 second. Let me check the video. I'll remember.
Okay, so is it during when you were migrating the
After the
data?
migration.
So
After the migration, I think it was creating an EC2 ECS Elastic. Creating an ECS Elastic. The platform is different from the platform. Your video is different from the current platform you are using.
So they've updated. Okay,
yes.
I will update that part of the course, but you when you are creating your ECS, that has nothing to do with your migrating your data anymore. Because if
we already migrated the data.
Yeah, so this flyway stuff you are showing me, you don't need to do that anymore because
Okay,
we only
okay,
need to do that. We only
that's
need to do that once.
okay.
So do you still have your infrastructure up? If you have it up, I can show you how to create the new ECS
Yeah,
service. If you
yeah, but I don't. The only point, I still have my infrastructure on, but I have not gotten to the point of creating an ECS. But if you can put me through, that would be fine.
Okay, sure. All right. Um, you've already built your Docker image.
Yes.
Okay. So you can go to your AWS console. I'll show you.
Can you see my screen, AWS?
Yeah. So you type ECS in the search box and select services. Okay. Then the first thing we want to do is create a cluster. So you can click create cluster then. You give your cluster a name. Okay, scroll down. So under infrastructure, it is going to be Fargate. You can see under monitoring and tags, those are optional. So you don't have to do anything there. Just click create. So it's saying your name is wrong. You can't probably have a space there. So you put hyphen. Okay. Perfect. So that's the first thing you create when you are creating your ECS service. You create the cluster. Then the next thing we need to create is the tax definition. So click on the tax definition there. Then click create new tax definition. Give it a name. Okay. Then scroll down. It is going to be Fargate. Those options, we'll leave those ones as default. Scroll down. So here you have to select your tax execution role. So the one we created under tax execution role. No, not there. Under tax execution role. Scroll down. You clicked in that. Not that one. The next one. No, not that one. No. So none.
This one?
Click
No.
none. Then it's the one after it. Tax execution role. Okay. All right. Scroll down.
I'm busy.
Okay. So under containers, that's where you give we'll create the container. So you leave it here. So under container details, you enter the name of your container. So it can be any name, you can make it up. It's usually the name of the project. All right. Then for the image URI, you have to go into your now just open a new tab. You have to go into your ECR repository and get the name of the URI of your Docker image, the one you built and pushed in there. So select it. Not that one. Don't copy that one. Select the name. Yes. You don't have any image in this repository.
No. Yeah, let me go back.
You don't have any image in this one either. Okay, so select the latest. Then that's the one you copy. Okay, then scroll down. Mm. No, scroll up a little bit. So just scroll down to the next section. So we're on the next section. We already did this one. So under, no, don't scroll down too fast. So the next section is your environment variables. So we need to update that to add your environment file. Did you upload your environment file in your S3 bucket yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Check.
So you will need all that stuff for your ECS service to work.
Which file do you say we are going to upload again?
Your environment file, which is the file that has all your environment variables you use to build your Docker image.
I think
There's a file you have to create, so you guys just have to go through the video and watch that part of the video.
okay.
Yeah. So, but you won't be able to create your ECS service until you. So you know what we can do? Let's create a file on your computer, and the file is just going to be like a dummy file. So then later on you can go and replace it once you watch that video and you update the environment variables in it. So on your computer, just create a file. So you can, if you have Visual Studio, you can open like a notepad or something. Where do you have your project, your this ECS project, the Visual Studio Code directory we created for it, or you can open that one. Not this one. Just this one.
You mean the visual?
So this one, click close folder. It's all the way at the bottom. So select file and click close folder. Okay, so your Docker projects repository, the one where you add your Docker file where you built your Docker image. Select that folder and click select folder. No, you have to select it first, then click select folder. Okay, so now click create the text file in that directory. So call it rentzone.env. I think that's what I called it in the video. But once you watch it, you can always update it in your S3 bucket. All right. So this file is what we are going to upload into your S3 bucket. So this file, when you watch the video, you see where you have
It seems I may have something like that on my desktop. Let me check.
I mean, if you just create build your Docker image, you most likely don't have it.
Okay, I think I have the last time, but I don't know. Maybe
because if you created it, you would have created it in the same directory here. So basically, it is if you select your build image.ps1 file, those environment variables that you use there, that's what we are putting in this file.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you can always create it, add those later on.
Okay.
So upload this file into your S3 bucket.
This one?
Yeah, this file we just created. Yes. So you remember, you know that when you create a file here, this folder, this rent zone folder is located somewhere on your computer, right? On your home. So you can open that home folder, then drag that file you just created into your S3 bucket. Okay, yeah, this is fine. You don't have to dock it side by side, but you won't be able to drag it like this. You would have to go in the folder on your computer. It won't let you. I don't think you can drag from Visual Studio Code that file. Maybe you can. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So that's the file there. Open. So we can continue creating your ECS stuff now. So that file you just uploaded into your S3 bucket, you have to copy. So go back to that S3 bucket. Select the file. I think, yeah, you are in the file, then you copy the ARN. So if you go back to your ECS console, so this is how you know what you need. So go back to your ECS console. You can see where they're asking you for environment file. You can see what they're asking you to put in there. They are showing you an example what it looks like. So that's how you know what you need to put in there. Then all these other ones, you will leave them as default. So slowly scroll down. Can you scroll back up a little bit? Because I want to make sure we're not missing anything. Use the scroll wheel on your computer instead of dragging it. So scroll down. So this one are optional. Okay, then scroll down and create. Okay. So do you have your load balancer?
Sure. Don't worry, I'll take it
Okay.
out from here.
So we've created your tax definition. So let's pretend as if we want to create your ECS service. Then I'll show you all the things you need to enter. Then when you watch the playback of the video, you know, since the one in the course right now is a little bit different, then at least when you watch the playback, you know what you need to select. So go to your ECS console. So we've created your ECS cluster, and we've created your tax definition. So the only thing we need to create now is the service. So to get to the service in your ECS console, you have to select the cluster, which is already selected for you. Then you click your cluster, then scroll down. Under service here, you have to be on the service tab, then you click create. Then scroll down. All that, whatever is there, will leave those as default. So those are some of the settings you already have on your tax, on your cluster that is populating. Stop here, scroll up a little bit. Okay, here. So there you select service, then under family, you select that drop down. Then you pick your tax definition that you just created. So your tax definition, anytime you update it, it comes in different versions. AWS does not really delete, they don't delete it, they just create a new version of it. So under the tax definition you just selected, the version is next to it. So always make sure that it is on the latest version. Then no, don't scroll down. So we stay over there. Then under service name, you need to enter the name for your service. Scroll down. Scroll back up. So you see how when you are watching this thing, they are section by section. So when we fill out one section, so that you don't miss anything, you just go pretty much check whatever the next section is. And that's how you pretty much get an understanding of the things you need.
Deployment.
So this one, we don't need anything here. We can leave it as default. So under networking, on this page, on this section, you have to select your VPC and security groups and stuff like that, your subnets and your security group. It's already selecting all the subnets in your VPC, so you need to select the subnets that are designated for your servers. So whatever is not your server subnet, you need to remove it.
The server is in private subnet, yeah.
Yep. So we are putting our server, no, well, we are putting our server in the private app subnet. So anything that is not the private app subnet, you will remove it from this list.
Sure.
Then you select your security group. It's the one we call container security group. Okay. Then scroll down. Then when you create your load balancer, under load balancing, this is where you will select it. So select that drop down under load balancer. Then here you select that drop down and you say you click application load balancer. Then you can either create a new one or just select an existing one. I'm not sure if I updated it into like creating a new one or selecting an existing one. I think if it creates a new one for you, I think we are creating our own load balancer, because when it creates a new one for you, it doesn't give you that option to select the security group.
Okay.
So that's why you have to create your own load balancer, select your security group. So that way, here on this option, you will just click use the existing load balancer, and whatever load balancer you have, you'll be able to select it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much. So if you watch the video, it's pretty much the concept is the same. So what I always say is when you guys are learning, focus more on the concept of what you are trying to do as opposed to the steps to do it, because AWS is always changing the console. But if you understand that, okay, for my ECS, I need to collect it to a load balancer, and you see the load balancer option there, from this point on, is pretty much straightforward. For example, if you click use an existing load balancer, you see that changed to a drop down, and if you have a load balancer in your account, it will show up there. Yeah. So but if you follow the rest of the video, you should be able to. Then once you've selected your load balancer, on that target group, scroll down. On that target group, you see where you have target group here. That will also give you an option to select an existing target group, or you can create a new target group. So there you just give it a name. But we also created a target group too. So you will select use an existing target group. Then after that you can create it. But all the steps are in the video.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right.
Stop sharing.
Okay. Does anyone else wants me to help them troubleshoot something?
Hi, Aziz. I need some help.
Okay, sure.
I've just finished the project for the Terraform module. I want to do the assignment now. The assignment. Trying to use the Terraform module I created from the last project, the Ransom project, to do it. Is there any way I can use that module to upload the next application?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mind showing me?
That's the point of the assignment. So you should use. So what in particular do you want me to show you?
What I want you to show me is to show me how to use the module, not actually the configuration I'm going to change. You can have to change some things.
Okay, yeah. So part of your understanding also comes from if you are trying to use a previous project you completed, right? I'll show you, but also I'm just trying to also push you to also, because the point of that assignment is if you choose not to write your code from scratch and use your module, right? Your understanding also comes from, okay, this is the starting point. But I can show you, share your screen and I'll show you where to start. So when you did that project, you were able to deploy your ECS service and everything.
Everything worked, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. It's very simple now that you are trying to do the
yeah, that's why I don't want to go from beginning to.
Okay, yeah. Did you build your Docker image for the Nest application and you pushed it to your ECR repository?
Yeah, when we were doing the Docker, I pushed that to the ECR.
For the Nest one?
Is it the Nest application that we are doing, the Nest app, is it different from the one that we deployed?
The range zone?
No. The one we deployed when we are doing Docker. It's the same application.
Oh, okay, it's the same. Okay, okay, so you already completed the Nest application in the management console using Docker, right? That's what you're saying. So now which one did you say you completed with the Terraform module?
Rent zone.
Okay, so you are trying to use the same code from your rent zone for your next one, right? So that's why I was asking that. Okay, so you already have the image for your next application pushed.
Yes, it's already
okay.
on.
All right, yeah, share your screen. I'll show you. It's actually much straightforward than you think.
Okay. So I will just open it here. So this is the Terraform module, and this is the infrastructure side of the repository.
Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy do you want to create a repository for it, or do you want to do it on your computer for this project? I'd say just create a repository for it, since you already have all your projects in your repository. Or you don't understand what I mean? For your next infrastructure side, right? I'm saying, do you want to just create the folder on your computer, or do you want to create a repository for it and clone it on your computer?
Repository for it.
Okay, so you can do that. So when you are naming your stuff, it's always good to always name it like in all lowercase. So don't mix match it like that. So just do nest, and the nest is I think is NEST. Yeah. Cool.
Then I'll do this later. I'll make it private for now.
Private.
I'll do this Terraform.
Yep. And yeah, create your repository. Cool. Then you already know the process, clone it.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Now open it. Open it in Visual Studio Code. So do it same from your terminal. It's good to get in the habit of doing that. So instead of opening it here, go back to your terminal. Then change your directory into that repository you just cloned. So CD. Name of it. Yeah. So once you start to type it, right, press the tab key on your computer, and it would pretty much auto-complete it for you. So if the name you are trying to CD into is there, when you press the tab key, it will just fill everything for you. Then press enter. Then now, wait, okay. Now that you have changed your directory into that repository, if you type code space dot, that will open it for you in Visual Studio Code. So that's one of like the easiest way to open your folder in Visual Studio Code. And one of the fastest way to do it. Okay, cool. So all we need to do is, and I've just been lazy to research how to break it, but I know sometimes when you copy something from one repository to another, it would pick up some of the commit things from that repository, which we don't want. So essentially what we want to do is your rent zone, all the files that are in your rent zone project, we are going to copy it and put it in this nest. Then we'll just modify some values. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so you can move this nest one like to the side a little bit, like make it like two screen, open your rent zone in Visual Studio Code, your rent zone infrastructure, and put it side by side with this nest infrastructure, because we are going to be copying something from from your rent zone and putting it in this one.
So I'm going to open to them Visual Code.
Yeah, open that one in Visual Studio Code. So the fastest way is right click on I see you already have it there. So right click on your Visual Studio Code logo at the bottom of your screen where you have all your apps open. Yeah, there, right click on it and select new window. So that will open another Visual Studio Code for you. Then once that one opens, all your project history are showing up here, right? Don't leave the file. So you see all your recent projects you worked on are showing up here. So you can just click the one you want to open, which is the one you called Rent Zone Infrastructure ECS. Perfect. So close that main.tf and close the terminal. So the main.tf that's open and the terminal, close those two.
Okay.
All right, cool. So in here, okay, so move them side by side. There's the fastest way to probably do it is, so this is like the way I'm showing you is a tedious way to do it, because what we are trying to do is we are trying to copy all your projects from here, right? All your files that are in this Rent Zone infrastructure, and we are trying to copy them into the nest.
Mm-hmm.
So there are several ways you can do it. The tedious way I'm showing you is create the file here and rename it, but that would be too long. So let's do it this way. I just don't know if it is going to copy, because I know sometimes when I've done it that way, it always copy those commit thing from the other repository. And there's a way you can break it, but I don't know how to do it. I just got lazy. I never really researched how to do it. So let's open that folder on your computer where your Rent Zone Infrastructure ECS is.
On the folder, right?
Yeah, and in your file explorer. Let's try it this way. So hopefully it will work.
Rent Zone Infrastructure. Yeah, that's it here.
Okay. So create a new file on your desktop.
Is it folder or file?
Oh, I mean folder, I'm sorry, folder. And just name it anything, just a test or to delete. You will delete it once we are done. Okay, then double click on it. Then go back to your Rent Zone ECS infrastructure. Then copy everything from, don't copy your .terraform and don't copy your git ignore. Don't copy your terraform.log to, yeah, everything else.
Okay.
You already have a README file, so you don't need that one too, but it's okay. You can, yeah, remove it. Okay, everything else, yeah, copy that one. Then paste it in that new folder you just created. Okay, so now click out, select out, and then now drag everything from this anything folder you created. Select everything and drag it into your Nest app infrastructure. Okay, perfect. It worked because it's showing up as new. Good. That's what we want. So you can delete your anything folder. We don't need it.
That's nice. I'll delete that later.
Okay, cool. So
right.
now close this one, and you can close your Rent Zone Visual Studio Code one. Okay, maximize this screen. All right. So you understand what we are doing so far, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So let's start with your backend file. So now this is a backend for a new project. So you have to create a backend key. So all your key you are using to authenticate, you can use the same DynamoDB table to lock it. That's fine. You can use the same profile, right? No, that's fine. You're not changing that. The main thing you want to change is your state file. Remember, the state file for your Rent Zone project is that one. So all you have to do, don't even remove that. So let me explain. So on line 5 where you have key, that is the name of your state file, right? So how AWS does it is you see where you have Terraform module. So in the S3 bucket on line 4, you said in that S3 bucket, you want to store your state file. And you want to store the state file in Terraform module. So in that S3 bucket, you specify, if you go in there, we'll look at it shortly. Terraform will create a folder in it that is called Terraform module. And in that folder, it will create another folder called range zone. And in that range zone folder, that's where it is going to store your state file. Does that make sense? So we can look at it in the console if you don't understand.
I do.
Okay, you do. I didn't hear you. So now that you are trying to create another state file for your next project, right? You can use the same Terraform, the same folder structure. So you are storing all your state file in the Terraform module. Then you just need to change the name of the folder. One in that Terraform module, right folder. Then the next project you want to store your state file is Nest, right? So you can just change that range zone to Nest.
I know I have an idea of some of the modification I'm going to have to do.
Okay.
To know how to. I didn't know I was going to use only the infrastructure side. I was thinking if I was going to use the Terraform module side of it.
No, you're not, because since your Nest application and your range zone are using the same, we are using the same architecture for it, right? So the same way we deploy the range zone is the same way we deploy the Nest. So you are saying you understand this part. You don't want me to walk you through it.
You know what? I'll give this a go. If I have any issue, I'll let you.
Okay. All right. Let's go to your main.tf then.
Okay, the main.
All right. So in this main.tf file, this is what is calling your backend module, right? So you can see it is on line 8 VPC, that will call your VPC module, right? The question you ask yourself is, do I need a VPC for the Nest? If your answer is yes, then you keep that, right? Then the next one is your NAT gateway. Do I need a NAT gateway for this Nest? Yes, I do. You keep that. So pretty much the infrastructure are the same. So you pretty much keep everything you have here.
Except for I think in that
literally you keep everything. There's nothing here you change, because I'll show you where you will change stuff. Because here I like how you've coded everything, because when I'm looking in here, you are not hard coding anything in your main.tf. So scroll down, keep scrolling down. Yeah, I don't see anything hard coded here, right? So now the main thing you are going to change is in your tfvars file.
Majority, yes.
Yeah. So here you have to put the values. See, this is one of the benefits when you guys are writing Terraform code. This is one of the benefits of not hard coding stuff into your code, because the way he has done it, he has all his variables here. So now you saw all we did is just copy those files, and in this variables.tf file, all you have to do is just change the things you want to change. So here I can tell you.
Quick question.
Yes.
Quick question. So would you say putting it in the variables.tf is hard coding it? So we have the variables.tf there, right?
It's not hard coding, but it is not. So sometimes your variables.tf can have default values.
Default,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not hard coding, but you just have to remember to change, to modify it there if you have some default values in there as well. But it is always good to get in the habit of putting everything in like a tfvars file. I mean, sometimes it's not everything that will go in your tfvars file. You can also have default values for your variables.
Yeah.
But if you do have default values in your variables.tf file, then you should remember to modify any value in there that you have to modify.
Yeah. So for example, now, you know how we have region now. So if you're a company, if you're working at a company in which they strictly use EU West 2, it's better for you to put it in the variables.tf as a default as opposed to having it in tfvars, right?
Exactly. So if you know that value is going to be consistent throughout all your project, yes, it's better to use it in the default. So that's actually one of the reasons why we use the default. If it is going, it's going to be consistent. But if you think the value might vary from project to project, then it's better to put it in tfvars file. Yes, you are right. Okay. So here, right? So you understand what you are going to do here. Here, if you are using the same region, that stays the same. the things I can look at it and say you will change is your project name, line 3. Environment doesn't really matter. You can use the same database. No, you called it rent zone. So you will change line 3, line 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, I have a snapshot for the next application database.
Oh, so you are deploying yours using a snapshot?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's from the.
So for this one, I also want you to, no, you can deploy it that way. So for your first deploy, do it the same way as you've planned. Then once you are done, I want you to try another deployment, but instead of using snapshot, try to use Terraform to migrate your code. And I can show you what the code looks like. I have the code for it. But that is after you've done this one and you test it and everything works. And you can do it the other way. Just to, try different things. So that way you are not stuck on routine and you just continue to challenge yourself. So, so here, go ahead.
What I want to clarify is that from the, what do I call it now? The assignment, you say we should do this on EC2. On EC2 instance.
So there is 2 of them. Which one are you working on? So the first one is you deploy it on EC2, and the second one is you deploy it on ECS. So they come in 2 parts.
Okay.
So which one are you trying to work on now?
I'm going to work on the ECS one first.
Okay, so that's fine. Then if it's the ECS one, the method this is actually what I recommend, what I had in the assignment to do for the ECS. So yes. So once you are done with this one, then you can still go back and do the EC2 one. Okay. So here, all you need to do is just modify your values that are specific to the next project you are trying to deploy, and everything should work.
Another question before you go. I noticed that we didn't commit the this main.tf as the infrastructure repository. Was that an oversight from you, or we shouldn't normally commit it?
You mean we are committing it, so that's why you see the U there.
No, from the project that we did, from your videos online, you didn't commit them. So I was wondering.
Oh, okay. So
an oversight or something.
So I have some video. Initially when I did the Terraform Majors project, we stored I used to talk about the folder for the repository itself. We just stored it on our computer. I wasn't committed into a GitHub repository.
Committed remotely.
Yeah, so for that project, I just chose to do it that way. Then in another project, I also showed you how to use the GitHub repository one. But when I update it, it would all be GitHub repository.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was just a preference. So, but the main important thing in this one is you can see that our TFVAS file, we are not committing it into our GitHub repository because it might contain some sensitive information. So yeah, the Terraform.tfvas file. So if you look at all your files over there, you can see they all have U, but your Terraform.tfvas file does not. It means that Git is not tracking it.
All right, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
okay.
Go ahead. Does someone have a question?
Yeah, I have a question while you were explaining some of the steps here. Well, I didn't want to, interrupt you. So you mentioned that there were some commits that you didn't want from the previous project into this project, and the reason why you had to go through the copying and so can you explain that more? I want to get that area very well.
Okay, so let's and I'm not sure. So do you mind me using yours as a demonstration?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So let's create like a random. Can you please create a random repository and clone it? So we can use it to test that theory. I know I've had those issues in the past. I'm not sure if it's still the same, but yeah, just create a random repository that you can delete later on. So type call it like to delete or something.
I clone it as well.
Yes, please. Okay. Then open it in Visual Studio Code. Before you open it, right? So this is what I'm saying. So open this folder you just created, your to delete repository, open it in File Explorer.
In File Explorer.
Yeah, so remember your folder down there. Yeah. So go to where you cloned it to and open that folder. But first go to your range zone folder.
The infrastructure one.
Yeah, the infrastructure one that we're going to copy. So I'm not sure who was asking the question. So this is the repository for the infrastructure one, right? This repository has some Git commit tracking thing going on with it. And I think there's something you can change in it, but I've been lazy. I haven't tried to look into it. So I'm saying that what I was trying to test is if you copy everything from here. So if you select all the files from this repository, don't copy the Terraform one because that one would take forever to copy it for you. So just copy like maybe up to the back end, just like the ones we did before. Okay, copy it. So notice what is going on here. I'm copying it directly from one repository. Now let's paste it into the to delete repository you just.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just click replace. You have two files that are the same name. That's fine. Okay. So now in your terminal, if you open that in Visual Studio Code. So go back to your terminal and just cd into that repository, then do code dot. So first cd into remove the dot, backspace, and cd into that to delete. Yeah. Then now you can code dot to open it. I mean, it may work and it may not, but let's see.
This is it.
Okay. So, yeah, so it is showing up as new. So that is what I guess it worked, but in the past, maybe it's based on how the repository is set up. In the past, when I've copied something out of one repository into another, and when I tried to push my changes, it was pretty much still tracking the same thing from the repository that I copied it from. So I was trying to avoid that. That was why I said I always since then I got in the habit of putting it in a folder and copying it from that folder. So right now it seems like the commit is brand new. So yeah.
Okay, I get. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just a precaution, so that way we don't run into an issue. For me, the practice that I use is what I showed them the first time. I always copy into a new folder, then copy it from that folder just to break that Git track. Sometimes it tracks it, but I can't tell you specifically the reason why. When I had that issue, why it was being tracked, it could be how the repository was set up.
Oh, okay.
So, as if I have
Yes.
a question.
Yeah, sure.
So what if you have a repo? Can you fork the repo and work directly from the fork repo?
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of creating another repo? Is that another stuff? Okay.
Well, yes, you can, and that will work, but there are values in there that are specific to the project that you need to change. So you still have to change those values in your TF as well.
Yes, I can see the some lock and the the state file. I can do that.
Right? Yes. So you can fork it, but I mean, then it's good for each repository to just have be on their own. Because what if the repository you forked gets deleted? Then what happens? So that would be a good practice if you are trying to start a new project and you know you need some of the same things from your previous project. So just create a separate repository, copy the files that you know you need, put it in the other one. At least that's how I do it. And you can modify what you need to modify.
But another question, I know this is not troubleshooting. I also a question in the slide. I don't know if I did the right thing. Concerning after we created a CI/CD pipeline. So so the Terraform action, so I changed it to destroy. So although it worked, so I don't know if it destroyed all the infrastructure. So it just destroyed it to build AWS infrastructures. So, but I still see my tax definition. So that one is not deleted, right?
Your tax definition, remember your tax definition does not get deleted.
Yeah.
AWS does not delete it. AWS will just deregister it, right?
Deregister it, okay.
And we specifically did not put that in our Terraform infrastructure for that reason, because let me think about the reason. And they've actually asked me this question on interview before, but I always tend to forget the reason why I did it that way. Oh, okay. The reason why I did it that way is because AWS does not delete your tax definition, it only increments it. So every time you run Terraform apply and Terraform destroy, AWS is really not going to delete it. It will just keep incrementing it. And since we need that tax definition to update our ECS service, I wanted to update the tax definition from the pipeline standpoint as opposed to updating it from Terraform. So if you notice that we are pretty much updating our tax definition from the pipeline, not the Terraform code.
Yeah. I saw that. So the old pipeline was updating.
Yeah. So if you run Terraform destroy, that does make sense, because when you change your pipeline to destroy and you delete everything, your tax definition will always be in your console.
So I noticed the clusters were destroyed and everything, but the tax definition is there.
If I can share my screen and I can go to my ECS service, and here you can see some of the tax definition that I worked with in the past. So let me see. How do I see my?
I think when you click on it,
so I want to see. I think it's. Maybe I have to. Let me check here. That. Yeah, when you click on it here, you can see. But I want to show you some of the ones that I've deregistered, but I guess I'm not sure how to get to the option. So you can see this particular tax definition, right? You can see that I've applied this Terraform, this pipeline so many times, and this project so many times that it keeps incrementing each time. So now I'm on 156.
Okay. And this does not cost anything, right?
No.
Okay.
No. So what you can do sometimes is you see some of these other ones, some of these other versions. You can, if you have a lot of versions here, you can, for these ones, you can select them and just
register them.
The action, the register. Yeah. Then you click here. Then you just have your latest one there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, cool. No, this is just for helping you guys troubleshoot. And if you have if you have questions relating to the project, you can ask your questions too. So It won't be based on, and I try to make it based on the projects you guys are working on, also to help you troubleshoot, is because I don't know it all in AWS. I know some stuff and I have enough good foundational knowledge to do research on things that I don't know. So let's say you are working on a project from someone else's program or from somewhere. Unless I do a research on it and catch myself up to speed, I might not be able to help you with the project. So that's why I just limited to the projects you guys are working on. And if you have any questions relating to that. And yeah, so because if it's like a general knowledge of something I can help you with, maybe like connecting to something, those I don't mind. But if it's like one time someone had something Terraform code that was relating to another project, and I wasn't able to really help out troubleshoot because there are things in the code that I would have to look at to help out troubleshoot, and which would take more time. So that's why I limited to just the projects you guys are working on and assisting you guys to make sure that you are able to complete the project, and you also understand what you are doing. Okay. Does anyone else have any question on, or you need me to help you troubleshoot something?
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I just joined last week, and I'm still working on my projects on the console. So I noticed that the architectures, the first two are kind of the same, but just a few resources on it. So my question is, do I have to destroy everything when I'm done, or I can just, because I know it's going and it will cost if I leave then. Probably I'll just have to stop the instances and all that, but do I have to leave the architecture like that and continue to the next project? Or?
Yeah, so you have to, so the reason why you are right, the architecture is pretty much the same for all the projects in terms of the VPC and the subnet, right? So the reason why I made them like, well, it's not the reason, that's just what our architecture is. For each project, I did tell you guys to delete your resources at the end. And when you start the next project, you have to create your VPC all over. The reason why I did that is to create that redundancy, so you know 100% by the time you get to the last project how to create the VPC. But if by the third project you already understand the process to create a VPC and it's something you can create at any time, then at the end of that project, if you don't want to remove that VPC, you don't have to. You can just use it for the next project.
And
go ahead.
And it won't cost if you leave the VPC?
No, the VPC, there's no charge to the VPC. So if you leave your VPC with the public and private subnets, that there's no charge to that. Your security groups, there's no charge to that. The only thing we created in the projects in your VPC that there will be charges to the NAT gateway. Yeah. So things like the resources like your NAT gateway, application load balancer. So delete your EC2, NAT gateway. When you create a NAT gateway, we always allocate an elastic IP. So always remember when you delete the NAT gateway, also register the release the elastic IP. Yeah, so once you do those things, you can leave your VPC, it's fine.
Okay, another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that every other thing you can leave. As it relates to the VPC and the security groups, you can leave those.
Okay, another question. While I was working on the WordPress project, I noticed we created the first instance, what's it called again?
The setup server. Yeah,
the setup server. Yeah, and we installed all the apps and everything, and then created 2 more instances, and then used the user data to install those apps, and then deleted the setup server. So what's the use of the setup server there?
Okay, so let me show you guys there. I'll open the reference architecture just a second. And in the next coming week, I'm in the process of updating the WordPress course. That setup server will not going to use it anymore because since AWS created the EC2 instance connect endpoint, we don't really need the setup server anymore. But I'll explain the reason why we have it that way now. Okay, just a second. Okay. So this is the reference architecture for that project, right? When this is the final state of what the architecture will look like when our project is fully deployed and end users can access it. So in this final state of our architecture, our servers are meant to be in the private subnet, right?
Yeah.
So, but when we are installing our WordPress site on the server, if we started by putting that server in the private subnet, then we cannot, let's say you are here and you are the admin, you cannot SSH into that private subnet directly without having to like set up Bastion host and all that stuff. So to make the process of installing our website very simple, so what we did is now I always miss my pen every time I do this Zoom thing. So to make the process of our website installation very simple, what we did is we just launched an EC2 instance in the public subnet, because you know this one you can SSH into it directly.
Yeah.
So once we SSH into it, we install WordPress or whatever on it. But at the same time, for this project, when we install WordPress on it, we also mounted it to the EFS, meaning that we put all the WordPress code in the EFS.
Oh, okay.
Right. So now that we've installed WordPress, we've made it the way we want it to be, and we've put the state of what our WordPress should look like in the EFS.
In the EFS.
So now when we launch our actual servers that goes in the private subnet, we use that script. So that script will only install WordPress on it, but it wouldn't do any of the configuration because we already did the configuration from here. So, because you know, when you launch your server has to have whatever dependencies WordPress needs to run. And that is installing PHP, MySQL, and all those things. So if you look in those scripts, that script we launch on those server that goes in the private subnet is only installing the dependencies, which are like PHP, MySQL, and it is also mounting the new server to the EFS. So you can pull the WordPress application code from there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
No, are you sure?
Yeah, it does kind of, but I was kind of lost as well. And when we're done with that, we had to create the Bastion host. So why not just create the Bastion host and connect it to the private server and then do whatever I want to do?
Yes, you can also do it that way, right? It is all about preference. But I guess since you guys are starting out for the first time, at least when I was learning it, I was taking it one step at a time, right? Oh, another thing I also forgot to mention is that is just one step, right? Okay, let's assume. Yes, you are right, though. We can also do it that way. Let's assume you want to install your WordPress, right? You already know that when we launch our EC2 instance in the public subnet and we install WordPress on it, we can just access that WordPress directly, right? By putting the IP of the EC2 instance in the web browser, right? So assuming now, I'm going with what you said, we created a Bastion host, right? That allows us to SSH into the Bastion host and into the private server, and we install WordPress on it. That would also work. But at the same time, I guess my thought process when I was working on the project is, now that you've installed WordPress on it, you as the end user, you are trying to access your WordPress now, right? You still can't access it directly the way we were able to access it when we launched it in public subnet, because from our configuration, when we launch it in the public subnet, we are just making sure that everything works properly. We're able to see the site, and once we know the state of the WordPress is good, then we can now. But But if you install it directly on the private subnet, you would have to create your load balancer to be able to access it. So there will be more steps to install it directly on the private server as opposed to just launching your server in the public subnet and installing WordPress on it, and you can access it directly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
There will just be more steps. The way your thought process is also right. There will just be more things you would have to configure for you to be able to access the site, to be able to access your server, and also to access the site you installed on it.
Because I'm saying the difference between the both of them now is that with the Bastion host, you didn't mention mounting it to the EFS file.
Yeah, we'll still do the same thing. So when we install it, we will still mount it. Yeah. Okay. But you would have to do one at a time, because you pick one server, let's say this is it, you use your Bastion host to SSH into this one, you install WordPress, you mount it here. So when you launch this other one, you still have to use the script to mount here to get the file.
Okay. Okay. I was just trying to pick your brain on that and see exactly the reason why we had to do it that way.
Yeah, it's just for simplicity, and also so that way you are able to follow the process, you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but if you said, you know what, I understand the process, what I need to do, I would, let me clear this.
And don't get me wrong, I don't understand it, but while I was going, I was understanding and I was thinking why we had to do it that way. So I just wanted to understand why we had to do it that way.
And I appreciate your question. That's exactly what I want you guys to do, which is question, why are we doing something that way? And if you think there is a alternative way we can do it, the process can always be improved, which is always something they will also look forward to you doing our work, where they may have a process on something. They're always looking forward to you reviewing the process and suggesting ways the process you guys do something can be improved. So yes, I certainly appreciate your question. So if you understand that, okay, I would install, and you can challenge yourself to actually do it the same way you would test your idea out. I'm going to install my site, my website, I'm going to launch my EC2 instance directly in the private app subnet. I'm going to launch my Bastion host. Then I'm going to SSH into it. Then I'm going to install WordPress, mount it here. Then to access my WordPress, I will need a load balancer to do that. Then once everything is set up correctly, then you can now launch this one with your script. So any additional server you launch, they would have to mount to your EFS using the script. So it's just for simplicity. But in the course update that I'm in the course update, and let me show you. When I update the WordPress course, we would be using a reference architecture that is similar to this. The EFS is not on this one, but you get the idea. So yeah, we will be using a architecture that is similar to this. So sometime last year, AWS created the EC2 Instance Connect endpoint, which allows you to connect to any resources in the private subnet in your VPC without having to use SSH key. Like, so you can directly just connect to any EC2 instance in your public subnet. Private. So in your private subnet, I mean, yeah, in both public and private. So in the updated course, our server we're going to launch our server directly in the private subnet. Then we're going to use the EC2 Instance Connect endpoint to connect to it directly, install WordPress on it, mount it to the EFS, then launch the load balancer, test that we can access it. Then once everything works, then we can launch the second one. But really at this stage, when you are configuring stuff, you really don't need to launch the second one when you are testing. This second one will automatically be created by autoscaling group when you get to the last part where you are using autoscaling group to dynamically create your server. So in the updated course, it would only be this one step we would have to do instead of set up server and all those other things. Okay. Thank you for your question.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Does anyone else have question, or you need me to help you troubleshoot something?
Okay, Aziz.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick one.
Yes, sir.
One of the arguments that we used in that Terraform is that what is it called again? Say delete before destroy.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean?
Okay. So let me find a Terraform. I mean, I don't have a specific one, but let me find a Terraform. And there is a good example which I ran into last week. I ran into it when I was working with someone, but I don't really have like a good demo to show you. So what that means is, okay, a good example will be application load balancer and target group, right? So you guys know that you cannot delete your target group, right? You cannot delete your target group before you delete the load balancer. So you have to, am I saying that right? Basically, you have to delete your application load balancer before you can delete your target group, because your load balancer is using the target group. So if something is using something, you guys know in AWS, sometimes AWS tell you other resources are using this, you can't delete it, right? So delete before update in Terraform just means that, let's say we have to update a resource, we change a value in this resource, and Terraform has to update it. We are saying that before, sometimes what Terraform would do is try to create another resource, right? And sometimes you will run into issue when Terraform is updating it. So we are telling Terraform that, let's just pick this application load balancer, for example. What that means is, before you update this resource, I want you to remove it completely. Then now create the new one. So that's all it means. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's all it means. It just means that for any resource you add that argument to, you are telling Terraform to completely remove that resource before it creates the replacement of it for it.
Okay.
Yeah, during the update, because sometimes when you update a certain value in Terraform, when Mr. Henry had that issue last week when we updated something, but his infrastructure was already created and the stuff didn't get applied. And I told him, you have to delete, do a destroy and do an apply. So sometimes Terraform update doesn't really pick up certain things in AWS 100%. So if you've identified those things, you can use that argument telling Terraform, for this resource, I want you to, when you are updating it, remove it first. Then once you have removed it, then recreate it. So that's what that would do.
The new one now will come up with the latest updates.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Does anyone have any question to help them troubleshoot?
One more question, please. While working on the project, that I think you said visualizing it helps you understand better, and with your architecture, you can see exactly what you're doing and how it's working. Is there any way we can? Did you include those architectures on the lectures or?
Yes, they are supposed to be on every lecture. And you guys, the architecture comes, you should have access to the architecture. So in the beginning of for each project, I am supposed to upload the reference architecture for that project there. So check in the beginning of the project. There's usually probably like the intro video or the second video. If it is not there, let me know so I can upload it. But yes, you should have access to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So someone said they don't understand how to use Jira. So let me read that. Two questions. I don't know how to use Jira too. Please send me the video link. I'll send you the video link, but I can also show you guys real quick how to create your ticket in Jira. So it's very simple. Once you look in the DevOps channel, you'll find I'll send you the link to the Jira bot. But once you are in the Jira account, it is very simple to create your tags there. If I can find it. Okay. So once you are in Jira, right, this is the board we are using. To create your tags here, all you have to do is click create. Then here you can leave these options as default. So this is the name of our project, our project space, right? And what you are creating is a story, so you can leave it here. There are also other Jira options you can create, but you are creating a story. Then for the summary, I said you guys should enter your name. So yeah, I'm just going to put my name as this, and the name, the assignment you are working on, whether it's assignment 2. And maybe like a brief description, host a website or something, whatever the name of that assignment is. So once you enter your summary, then under description, you can enter a brief description of what you need to do for that assignment, what you are trying to accomplish. The reason why I am showing you guys how to do it this way is because at work, when you write your story, you would also be responsible of putting like a detailed description of what the tasks you are working on and your intentions to how you are going to achieve it in your description. So a description is just meant for like saying things that you will complete, things you want to do with that task. So you type there your description here. Just type like a brief to create a site. So once you type your description, here at work, under this assign, if let's say you are assigning to someone on your team, if you click this drop down, all their names will show here. You can either assign it to them. And if you want to assign it to yourself, you can click assign to me. But I'm just mentioning this, but you don't have to do anything in our project because we are using the same board. So this doesn't really matter for our project. So all this, you can leave all this as default. At work, you will have to put story point, which is how they estimate how long it will take you to complete that work. But you don't have to do this for our project. The main thing you have to do for our project is enter your name here, your summary, your description. Then under sprint, this is the most important thing. Under sprint, you select this drop down and you select the sprint we are in. You can see we are already in sprint 9. Whatever sprint we are currently in will show up here. You click on this sprint. And when you click on it, it will give you this warning thing. That is fine. Then that's really all you need to do. And you click create. The reason why it is important to remember to click on the sprint is because when you click on the sprint, it is going to put your tags on the current sprint board. So if I click create here, you can see it has created that tags. And if I scroll down here, you can see that tags here. So once you've created your tags, and you start working on it at work, this is exactly what you would do. You would have to, I always just drag it. So you can drag it to in progress, right? Then once you have done, complete your assignment and you want your manager to review it, in our project, I will be like your manager that's reviewing it. Then you can move it in review. So where did it go? Probably went up here somewhere. Okay, it's right. So it is in review now. Then when I review it, at work, once your manager review it, they would also move it to done for you. So no, they wouldn't move it. So once they review it, and if it is approved and you have completed the work, then you can move it to done. So that's pretty much how Jira is, right? for this assignment, once you've created your ticket, you can go in the ticket, and for the things that I'm asking you to submit to prove that you completed the assignment, that you will just add them under the comment section. So the comment section here, it could be whatever I'm asking. It could be the URL of your site. It could be like a screenshot that's showing that you're showing the page for your site, that everything works, showing your URL. So whatever the acceptance criteria is, you just paste it here, and that is how you create your Jira thing. So once you paste whatever your comment is, just type comment and you click save. So when I'm reviewing it, I'll see that. If you don't want to drag things back and forth, like if you select your ticket, you can also change the different staging here. You can see we have to do in progress. So right now this is in review. If I change this to in progress and click out, you can see that ticket has been moved back to in progress. So there are different ways to update it. So that's pretty much how you work with your Jira ticket. Then let's say the other one I was saying is, if you are creating a ticket, let's say you create something, test, right? And you filled in your summary, your description, but you forgot to enter the sprint. If you create it and the ticket was created, but if you look here, you are not going to see it here, right? Then that is because you didn't select a sprint. So in that case, if you forget to select the sprint, all you have to do is go in the backlog. That's where your ticket will show up. So you can see in this backlog here, the backlog is here. You see it says backlog. These are all the tickets that someone created that they forgot to select the sprint. So they show up here. So if you don't see it on the board, it will be in the backlog. Then you can, what I always do is I just take it from here, and I usually just drag it up, but is more, but there should be another way to do it. Wait, let me see. Move to sprint 9. So if you right click on it, select it, click on this 3 dot here, and you can say move to sprint 9. And you can click confirm here, and it has been moved there. So now if I go to the board, the ticket is there. So that is pretty much it by Jira. Yeah, so you can upload your screenshots on, oh yeah. So yeah, you can upload your pictures in your Jira comments. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any question? So the program is a self-paced program, so you can start at any time and work according to your own pace. So I meet with everyone on an individual basis throughout the week if they have if they need help troubleshooting something, and also on the weekends I meet with everyone as well. So the class you are saying is not a class that everyone in the class is learning at their own pace. So you can start at any time. Okay. Does anyone have any question, or you guys need me to? Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad AWS resolved it for you. Okay, cool. Does anyone else need help troubleshooting? We're almost at the end. Okay, cool. So if you guys need help troubleshooting anything, all right, go ahead.
Sorry, this is not a question. About the Docker file for the CI/CD, can you put it on Slack in case anybody has that issue so that we'll be able to access it?
Oh, yes, I'll put it on Slack, but I've also updated the GitHub repository.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reference file in GitHub repository has it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will also upload it to Slack for you guys. So you guys have it as well.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. If you guys don't have any question, that would be it for today. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or you need help with something throughout the week. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Elvis.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.